Hi, and welcome to It Gets to Be Fun. I am your podcast host, Brooke Finlay, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about myself and how the podcast came to be. So, I am an entrepreneur, I'm a twin mom, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, I'm a mountain biker and a skier. And I think in the entrepreneurial world, sometimes our real identities can get lost. And there are stories and perception on social media about what it's like to be an entrepreneur almost comes off a bit glamorized. And throughout my journey, there have been ups and downs. And those of you who are on this entrepreneurial roller coaster with me know that it is constant up and down, and the journey is never linear. So I wanted to create this podcast to really shed some light on what it's like being an entrepreneur, particularly an entrepreneur raising a young family and a woman. So my goal is to provide you with some insights into the real life of an entrepreneur. And the reason I wanted to do that is because for myself, I have experienced an immense amount of imposter syndrome and struggled with perfectionism as well as fear of putting myself out there. So this in and of itself is very terrifying for me. And I felt like it was necessary because I've started more recently receiving feedback about, I don't know how you do it all. You've accomplished so much, and how can I do it? Please, like, tell me your secrets, which is very flattering. And I also think it's important that people don't get the wrong impression. I've gone through my own mental health journey from intense anxiety for many years, depression, especially postpartum, and as I mentioned, imposter syndrome. So what I hope to do is just shed light on that, onto some of the things and some of the narratives and the realities that might not come across on social media, where we tend to see everyone's highlight reel. And in doing so, I hope that it helps others who are on this journey, whether you're an entrepreneur or a professional or a full-time parent juggling multiple roles, just to not feel so alone. When I really dove into entrepreneurship, I didn't feel like I had the business acumen. So I started a master's degree. I did a master's in innovation and entrepreneurship at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. And I remember my intake interview, expressing concern that I was not very technologically inclined. I'm the least technical person that you will ever meet. And here I am launching and have launched a tech startup. So I shared my concern, my fear that, I'm not a developer, I'm not a computer scientist, I'm a subject matter expert. I know Canadian immigration law inside and out, but I wanted to create something that was tech enabled, and I didn't have the expertise. And I learned that tech is an enabler. It's not the solution. So that eased my concerns, and I started the program with the goal of getting more clarity on how I could bring my idea to life and get the business skills to be able to succeed in that. What I didn't know is that the connections and the network that I would build throughout this program have been some of the most transformative connections that I have made in my life, that have empowered me and helped me to gain the self-confidence and belief in myself that I could do this, to help me move through some really difficult situations, make some very scary decisions, and ultimately continue to fuel me to this day along this journey And what you can expect from this podcast is that I will be sharing conversations with some of these people and with others on this journey to shed more light on really what it takes to succeed, what it looks like to be an entrepreneur, and the importance of connection and building your network of people who are in your corner, who are aligned with your values and are there to support you and call you on your shit, but still support you in a safe environment where you can grow. Because entrepreneurship, in my experience, has been the most growth I have ever experienced as a human being. And I didn't expect that. I thought it was about running a business and making money. Really, for me, it's about the growth and using my strengths, applying those strengths to being of service to other people. The title of this podcast, It Gets to Be Fun. It comes very intentional. It's something that one of my very dear mentors said to me one time when I was in the depths of severe anxiety and depression. And he said to me, Brooke, it can be fun. It gets to be fun. And I will never forget that conversation. I have grown in ways since then that I never knew possible. And so I want to share some of these stories to help whoever can benefit from hearing the lessons that I've learned of cultivating a growth mindset, building resilience, and building the belief in myself that no matter what comes my way, I can overcome it. And I have the people who can help me along the way. I'm not alone. And that was huge because prior to building the network that I have so far, I felt very, very alone. And I was incredibly scared to reach out for help. And that really all started to shift, beginning to build that network of people who were really in my corner and believed in me. Ultimately, what I hope for listeners to gain is that belief that and that knowledge that you're not alone and there are people out there who would love to support you and to share some of the less flattering sides of being an entrepreneur so that you don't feel alone on this journey. Not only will we be looking at the challenges and the realities of entrepreneurship, but also focusing on how to have fun on the journey, because it's not all about how much money you've been able to raise or how many people you've been able to hire, but are you having fun? And for me, the way that I find fun is doing things that are in alignment with my values and that are rooted in integrity and that allow me to use my expertise and my skills to be of service to others. And I get to learn a ton along the way. So we'll focus on how to have fun. And I think of all the KPIs, this is crucial and it's not talked about enough, is really that measure of success, which comes down to why did you start a business or why are you doing what you're doing? And are you having fun? So thank you for joining me. I hope you will continue along this journey with me. As I said, this is very uncomfortable for me. It's something that is very far outside of my comfort zone. But what I know to be true is that the more uncomfortable something is, the more there's room for growth and opportunity. So continue watching. Share my show with your friends, like it, leave a comment, let me know what you'd like to hear, and tune in for the next episode. And before I forget, I know I said on LinkedIn that I would let you know how my parenting trick was working, which is if you're trying to get your children to do something, or rather not to do something in my case, we still have a lot of hair pulling and biting. So if anyone else has suggestions, please, I am all ears and would love to know your tricks for taming 2-year-olds. Tune in for the next episode. I have a very special guest that I am excited to have on the show, especially as my first guest, and we'll see you next time.